Hello and welcome to a special episode of Catunquit Chronicles. I'm here, James Allen, along with no other person in the studio this day, as we not only don't have a guest, but Ashland is not available at all. So today I intend to do a special reading of a piece I'm quite proud of. So I'm going to imbibe with your time. Take a little bit of time and have a listen. But first, we'll perhaps talk about a little bit about the commercials that we have today before we begin our process of reading. Because we have to pay for the reading, right? That's the way to do it. Tonia's Pre-Owned Cars is offering zero financing on all cars over 80,000 miles. And Tonia guarantees financing for anyone that can prove they have a job. All 80,000 mile or more cars come with a toolkit and a free 140-piece first aid kit. Stop by our Northwest Avenue showroom. Deals, deals, deals. Interesting that they provide a toolkit. That's preemptive, I guess. It's like when they what was that car that came out from Czechoslovakia? When there was a place like that, it was a car, and they gave you tools. Estimating that it was very likely that it was going to break down, right? And this one gives you a first aid kit and quite healthy one with 140 pieces. So stop by Northwest Avenue showroom. Deals, deals, deals. All right, estate sale official notice. This is big. Ruben Mentros family estate is having an estate sale after the unfortunate death of Mr. Mentros, who lived to be 99 years and 364 days old. Believe it or not, Mr. Mentros has the distinction of having died at exactly 11:59 and 59 seconds on December 31st of 2025. His daughter, Rita Mentros Browner, said, "The doctor insisted on being accurate. If it was up to me, I would have given the old man a break and got him to 100. Stop by and check out some rare works of art, statuary, and even a motorcycle from the early 1900s. Mrs. Mentros Browner said, Saturday, June 13th at 12 noon at the Mentros Estate, 12 Pierogi Avenue, in the Pierogi section of town. Mrs. Mentros Browner also reports, the following day, Sunday the 13th, we'll be conducting a yard sale for all the items not sold on Saturday. That's intriguing concept. She's going to sell the junk stuff that didn't sell. But that old motorcycle sounds interesting to me, from the 1900s, early 1900s. And Ruben Mentros was a man about town for sure. Somebody that we all know, and somebody that we care about. Because he was so close to 100, last 3 or 4 years, the newspaper would get in there and have a discussion with him as he approached 100. He was the oldest living person in town. So, farewell, travel well, Ruben Mentros, and our sympathies to the family. Beehives are us. Given the nationwide bee shortage, we at BAU, that's Beehives are us, are ready and waiting to serve your beehive transfer and repopulation elsewhere. If you should choose to keep the hive on site, we will transfer the hive from your, for example, attic space to customized beehives, and we will service the hives throughout the year. We only ask that you allow access for beehive maintenance, and BAU will share 10% of the honey produced from the beehive at your home. If you like the bees removed, we'll relocate them for you as well. Call BAU or stop by our store next to the Doctor of Allergies, allergist Dr. Michael Statton's office on Catunquit, Maine. Now, it's interesting that so many people are allergic to bees, but this office is right next to the doctor, takes care of allergies. Stuff works out like that, doesn't it? Well, that's all we have for announcements and stuff today. So we're going to go right into music. I would be remiss if I didn't mention that I will be once again hosting an open mic at the Narragansett Cafe in the next town over, Jamestown, Rhode Island, on June 17th. And that is from 7 p.m. to 9:30. And we have a full house typically, and usually 16 to 20 performances and performers, and we ask that you sign up early at WEDS, W-E-D-S, WEDS, NITELIVE at gmail.com, or contact us via our regular website at Catunquit Chronicles at gmail.com. And we'd love to hear from you. We've heard from many, but we'd love to hear from many more about what you think of the show and how things are going. That feedback is invaluable. And we usually provide some bits and pieces of the feedback on the program. That's the abbreviated MWB. That's Music, Waves, Bubbles. All right, so we have a story today. It's entitled Clash at Swing Fence Farm. And if anybody has ever been to Catunquit, you know that Swing Fence Farm is a prominent farm on a hill, and there are many cattle grazing in a beautiful field. So Clash at Swing Fence Farm, I don't think it needs any more introduction than that, but these are all real people that live here in Catunquit and have lives, and we're just kind of taking a peek at those lives. I mentioned this piece is a little longer for a short story than we normally prepare, so I might take a break at some point and then get back to it, and we could have a little discussion in the middle. All right, we'll start. Clash at Swing Fence Farm. Jared Dentry was a steer-raising farmer. His father was a farmer on Catunquit Island, and his father before that, extending generations that preceded the King of England's true awareness of the family's long-term marriage with the soil. Jared had the old soil beneath his fingernails, the compost representing the life and death of so many generations of cattle. He smelled of cow shit, and it was pervasive, almost living in his psyche. He wondered if he'd ever meet a woman, given that there were so few folks in Catunquit still farming. He wondered if he'd ever date a woman, for that matter, and eventually marry. The entry point for such an endeavor included being available in the evening. Jared's early rising at exactly 1 hour prior to sunrise to milk the 3 milk cows he owned, along with tending to 60 head of cattle, precluded him from late-night activities, or so he thought. Sandra Cololini was a seemingly reserved and stunningly beautiful young woman in her early 30s that visited the farm stand each Thursday afternoon. Each Thursday, Jared noted her beauty from afar, her strong legs and her pronounced facial features. He liked the way she carried herself, and particularly the way in which she spoke with Delia, the farm stand clerk that took care of the front of the house, as Delia referred to her job, a holdover term from her days working in the restaurant industry. Delia was outgoing, caring, and willing to help the customers with whatever they needed, even if she wasn't at all clear as to what she was talking about. She often said, "Mama cursed me with the gift of gab, and she shorted me one consonant in my name, leaving out the other L." Delia was often asked how to cook a certain cut of meat, and over the past 4 years, while working for Jared's Swing Fence Farm, which was named in the 1850s by his great-great-great-grandfather for his love of baseball, the remnants of a sort of flattened regulation baseball diamond and field space and the posts for an outfield fence remained on the farm all these years later. Delia would ask the customers that she knew, including Sandra, how the customer might cook a particular cut of meat, and preserved the recipes in a folder, and passed out 8 by 11 recipes to the customers. She eventually created a book and sold the book at the farm stand. Delia was selling 10 books a week, and she was proud of her accomplishments in publishing and looked forward to her next book project. The cookbook contained recipes with photos that she'd taken at the farm, most of which included Jared Dentry performing some type of chore, often perched atop a John Deere farm machine or digging fence posts with a post hole digger that focused on his considerable stature and wiry strength, or his blue eyes. Sandra Cololini's visit to Swing Fence Farm each Thursday was for flank steak. After 3 months of steady purchases, Delia finally asked Sandra, "Why do you buy flank steak each week? What are you doing with all this flank steak?" Sandra nodded her head and said, "I have to make an Italian dish called braciole for my family to eat after church at the Sunday meal every week." Jared was in the next room, separated by an open doorway, where he was splicing a stainless steel spring-loaded hook to a rope to create a visible barrier so people visiting the farm wouldn't turn around in his driveway. It awakened his mother, who was in the final stages of life, who now lived on the first floor of the farmhouse, in a hospice-assisted room, in a hospital bed. Braciole is a stuffed meat roll. I pound the flank steak out thin, I fill it with herbs, and cook it in a tomato sauce for 3 hours. It's very tender and nice, and my mother and father love it. But it's a pain in the ass to make," Sandra said. Jared loved the way she described the process, and he wished he could cook with her on a Sunday. Jared even considered eating with her and with Sandra's parents, but for Jared, it all seemed scary. "It sounds delightful," Delia said with a smile. "We make our own pasta. It's wicked intensive and time-consuming, but it tastes good," Sandra added. "Could you write down the recipe? I'm making a second recipe book. The first one was so successful. Do you have a copy?" Delia asked. Delia pointed at a table, and Sandra removed a copy from the raw-edged wooden table and opened the book and leafed through the pages. "Nice. Very nice. Pot roast. My father loves pot roast, but my mother never cooks it for him. She only cooks Italian food. Anything a little off the ordinary schedule, I'm responsible to make. So I'm always trying some wacky stuff," Sandra revealed. Jared listened to the discussion and peeked with one eye around the corner to see Sandra. He noted how much he loved Italian food, and he almost never made it for her and for he and his mother. His mother wasn't eating much of anything now. His father had died 8 months prior, and his mother said after the funeral and burial in the family gravesite on the property, "If he's gone, I don't see any reason to continue on." Jared took his statement personally. He wondered how she could say such a thing, as he'd given up much of his life to be a farmer, just like his dad, and he always thought that she recognized his sacrifice. He'd always wanted to pursue his music. He loved to sing, and he sang all day, even making up song lyrics and coupling the lyrics with the melodies in the evenings, and sometimes on a break while attending to cows in the fields. About a week and a half prior, Jared had been focusing on a song for his mother's funeral, playing it far from the house during the past 3 weeks under an oak tree so old it must have been planted by a squirrel before the farm was established in 1646. A summer farm visitor and tourist customer in a full-size black Suburban with New York plates passed by slowly. These visitors to Catunquit usually rent a high-priced house for a week or two in the summer, and they buy their meat locally, never caring about the price. The driver passed by with the passenger side window open, then backed up to hear Jared play. Jared sang, "I know it had to be your season, but it doesn't make any sense that I'm singing about you today in a different tense. Your spirit swirls around me like a curious dragonfly." When the car stopped, he stopped playing. The man said, "Don't stop, it's beautiful. You have a wonderful voice." Jared shook his head and looked at the root base of the massive tree, avoiding eye contact with the stranger. "Is this the place where I can buy locally grown meat, man?" the stranger asked. "Yes, in a stone building past the sign that says farm stand near the farmhouse. Delia will help you," Jared said. "Are you the owner?" the stranger asked. "Not yet," Jared said. "You buying the property?" the stranger asked rudely. "I'm the son. My mother's in the house, dying," Jared revealed. Oh, I'm sorry. "Is the song for her?" he asked. "For the funeral. She'll be buried right over there at the top of that knoll," Jared said. "It's a beautiful song." "Do you play out?" he asked. No. I'm just messing around with a few chords, that's all." "But the lyrics are yours?" the stranger asked. "All mine. Soon to be hers," Jared said. "You should play out. Get some experience on stage," the stranger encouraged. "It's all I could do to keep this place running. No time for playing out, mixing with people," Jared said, as his head drooped forward dejectedly. "Everybody should do stuff. Some of us have to do real work," Jared said, and couldn't believe he said it after he opened his mouth. He wished he could take the words back. "That's a song, man. You need to write that song," the stranger suggested. "There you go again. I guess you know what I need," Jared said. "I'm sorry. I'm used to telling people what they need. I'm always telling people what they need. They just tell me to shut up and let people live," the stranger said. "You're not all wrong. I've never thought of myself as a farmer. These beef cattle are always trying to die on me. Coyotes are trying to nip at them. Disease. It's a ton of work. But my family's been here since forever," Jared said as he strummed a few random chords. "Can you finish that song?" the stranger asked. "No, I don't think so. But I'll play another one for you," Jared announced bravely. The stranger got out of the car, walked through the gate, opening the electric fence. "Be careful, don't touch the wire," Jared yelled. The stranger picked up a chestnut and gnawed at it slightly to reveal the inner flesh. "In New York, they sell these for $8 a bag in the wintertime. They're all roasted up. They kind of taste bland, though. It's the idea of eating roasted chestnuts from an open fire, like the famous lyric, that helps me buy a bag each year. I forget how they taste," he said. "I'm Jared Dentry," Jared said while extending his hand. "Colton Clash," the stranger revealed. You're, you're, you're Colton Clash. You mean Colton Clash from the Cosmic Clash? Jared asked. Here, right here in Catunquit, at Swing Fence Farm. I'm surprised you've heard of me with all this cow shit and pitchfork crap you're wrapped up in. Must be day and night, Colton said. Yeah, it's honest work, Jared said. But you have a gift. I'm not that good, Jared said. Do you respect my music? Colton asked. Yeah, I sure do. That song, Don't Call Me Reckless, is epic. It's a classic. And it's only been out about 3 years. Everybody plays it, Jared said. On a radio? You listen to radio? Colton asked incredulously. It soothes the cattle. Me too, Jared said. What else do you write about? Colton asked. Jared hesitated and then said, I write about this woman, Sandra. I can't really stop thinking about her. I don't know her well enough to write a song for her, though. Why don't you ask her out? He asked. It's not like that. Her family's very Catholic. I couldn't really just ask. I don't really have time, Jared said. You don't really have time for much, do you? Colton asked. I know. I mean, it seems that way, Jared said. Just do it. Like the commercial, just do it, Colton said. Check out this lyric. I will do it. I will ask her out. Can't hurt right. So here it goes. Your looks, your presence, the curls above your temples leave me cold. When you look my way, it seems you're looking into my soul. And I wonder if I called you, if you'd pick up your phone. But it seems I'll never know, because when it comes to love, I take it way too slow. Jared finished. I mean, it's raw, it's rough. I'm still working on it, he went on. It's beautiful. Does this woman come here for meat? Colton asked. I can't believe it's you, here with me, listening to my songs. Colton Clash. I should have just handed over the guitar when you made it through the gate, when you told me who you were, Jared said nervously. I'm just here, man. I mean, it's like fate that I came here today. Does this woman come here for the meat? He asked. Yeah, she does. Every Thursday after lunch at exactly 1 p.m. She's very punctual, Jared said. Well, you mean the day after tomorrow? Colton asked. Yeah, every Thursday. She buys the same thing each week. I listen to her, and I spy a little bit from the barn next door, Jared said. That is too weird. Stop that. Definitely stop that, Colton said. I'd never see her if I didn't spy on her a little bit. Go into the sales room and strike up a conversation with her. Maybe about music, shit like that, Colton said. It's not like that. She's different, Jared said. She's a woman, right? Definitely, Jared emphasized. I read about this open mic in the next island up the bay at Jamestown. It's on the third Wednesday of the month. Sign up for that and ask her to come see you play. That'd be a cool way to meet with her, and she could hear you play. Maybe you could finish your song about her and sing it to her that night. Very cool, very romantic, right? Colton said while adjusting his wavy blonde hair and tethering it with an elastic band in the back, revealing his full face. Jared noted how smooth Colton's skin was, how he hadn't the look of a hardened rocker that was almost 10 years older than Jared. Jared's 30 years old. It's not ready, Jared responded quickly. You think you're not ready. If not now, man, when? Don't wait too long. I mean, I got married a few years ago at 38, and we had a kid, and then it ended, but I still have the kid in Austin, Texas. I'll be old when he's 20. Don't wait, man, Colton said. I just met you, Colton Clash, and you've got me performing on stage, marrying Sandra Colellini, and having a kid. That's a lot, man, Jared said. There I go again. For the record, I'm not recommending marriage. I'm always telling other people how to live. I am sorry. Hey, I have 2 backstage passes for this weekend's festival in Charlestown. I'd love it if you'd come. Maybe with Sandra? Whatever. Whoever, actually. Colton said as he withdrew the passes from his top pocket of his black linen shirt. Jared noticed the silk-threaded hand-embroidered music cleft above the pocket. Colton shook his head and said, Man, the air is clear here. It's like stepping into a time machine being here. In a good way or a bad way? Jared asked. Only good, man, only good, Colton said as he lifted himself from the ground where he was sitting in the grass. Check yourself for ticks, Jared emphasized. Ooh, nasty. Nasty, wicked nasty. Don't they give you Lyme disease? Colton asked. That's right, but not all of them. And we have guinea hens, a guinea fowl, they're called, eating the ticks all day long. So you're probably all right. I'll check, Jared said, as he leaned his guitar against the oak tree and moved over towards Colton to check his legs. No ticks, but have someone check your butt, Jared advised. My butt? They're in my butt? Colton asked, aghast. Sometimes. Probably not, though. Good. Well, goodbye. I'm going to Jamestown next Wednesday for the open mic, too. A friend of mine I'm visiting here in Catunquit's a poet, and he's reading, so I'm in town for a poetry reading at the open mic. I hope that you and Sandra are there, too. I'll be in a little bit of a disguise for the open mic night. You might not recognize me, Colton said. All cool. I'll try to do it. I'll try, Jared said hesitantly. Tries kind of suck. I'm expecting you to be there, Colton said again. Will you be coming by the farm again? Jared asked. I could bring my guitar and we could practice under this oak tree, Colton proposed. Can it be Thursday about noon? Jared asked. Noon? Noon? But you have to see Sandra at like 1 o'clock, right? He asked. Yeah, could I be there when you talk with her and ask her out? Is that what you're asking? Colton finished Jared's thought. Sort of. Exactly, Jared said. I mean, I have a lady I'm looking after. She has a kid. I'm already in the shit with her about a few things I did when I was on the road, but I'll do it, Colton revealed. You should, Jared said. Oh, now you're telling me what I should do. The roles have reversed. I'll be there. I've got to see this Sandra. She must be a true beauty, Colton said. She's everything, Jared said while standing and twirling his guitar in his huge farmer hands. You should do that on stage. That's cool with the hands and spinning the guitar around. I don't think I could do that with my little music hands, Colton said as he lifted his left hand to reveal slender fingers and deep hardened calluses on his fingertips. Will you be there? Will you be here Thursday? Check change. Will you be here for me Thursday? Jared asked. I told you I'd be here. Then I'll be here, Colton said as he reached out for Jared and gave him an awkward hug. Well, at least it was awkward for Jared. Loosen up, man. Haven't you ever hugged a man before? Colton asked. Not really. Not anyone. My dad wasn't much into hugging, Jared responded shyly while looking at the ground and sliding the soil over and over with the sole of his boot. Colton went in for a second hug. You have to write about this isolationist existence, man. This is some deep shit, Colton said. There you go again, telling me what I should do, Jared reminded Colton, this time with a smile, and said, "You're right. You're right about a lot of this stuff. I can't believe Thursday's the day after tomorrow," Jared said while removing a handkerchief from his pocket, wiping his forehead and his upper lip. "No one uses handkerchiefs anymore. That's gross. Wiping your forehead with a snotty handkerchief," Colton exclaimed. "It's a farmer thing. It's just for sweat," Jared revealed. "I need one of those on stage," Colton said. "Yeah, you should," Jared said again, emphasizing what Colton class should do. "Show's over. That's all for today, but I'll see you on Thursday. I need to see this Sandra woman. Hope she's worth it," he yells back as he cautiously exits the electrified fence through the gate and past a herd of sheep grazing beneath some apple trees. Colton made his way to the house to drop off his guitar and thought of his experience and verbalized it aloud. Wow. Colton Clash up here on Swing Fence Farm, my farm. Amazing. As he entered the house, his mother's alarm was beeping, and he rushed to the parlor where she was in her makeshift bedroom. "It's been beeping for a half hour. You need to change the bag," she said slowly, her eyes sunken in her head. Jared removed the urine bag and replaced it with a new bag. With a plastic bag, he wrapped the old bag with the others and removed it from the room and placed it in the dumpster, and then returned to his mother's side. "Well, what time does Maggie get here? I need the shot," Jared's mother asked. "Soon, Mother, soon. I've been working." "You're always working," she said. "I know that you know what needs to be done around here," Jared said. "Yes, I do know," she said with a wince. "Delia popped in for a few minutes, brought me some crackers and milk. The crackers were from England. London," she said, "and she said they call them biscuits. Not like any biscuit I ever made. I ate one politely. Don't you worry. She's so nice, that Delia. Maybe when I'm gone you could marry her," his mother proposed. "That's ridiculous. She's 10 years younger than me. She's been working here since she was 10, Jared said. "She's so nice," his mother said as she winced again and tried to adjust herself. "It's these bed sores. I'm so uncomfortable. When is Maggie coming? I want to die," she rambled. "Soon, Mother. What can I get for you before I go back out in the fields?" "I have some haying to do," he asked. "I need Maggie. I need the morphine," she said as her neck reached back. "I wish I could die. I'm not living anymore." "Don't say that, Mother. Look out the window at all you've built. You could see Narragansett Bay over the horizon beyond Kingsfield Farm on the other side of the Bold Road. Smell the fresh cut grass I cut this morning," Jared whispered to her gently, as it seemed to soothe her pain. Maggie walked in, and Jared's mother said, "Thanks be to God, it's Maggie." Jared said, "Thank God it's you. She's ready." "Don't talk about me like that," his mother expressed. Jared motioned Maggie to meet with him outside the makeshift bedroom. "I'm glad you're here. I have to hay the field. How long will you be staying?" Jared asked. "All the time now," Maggie whispered. "Oh, you mean it's time?" he asked. "Yes," Maggie said with knowing and caring eyes. Jared just nodded and backed his way to the front door and left. When he hit the front steps, tears left him for the first time. It wasn't for his mother as much as the tears flowed as he realized that he would finally be truly alone. And he wasn't sure how he could be more alone than he had been to this point in his life. He wiped his tears and climbed atop the John Deere haying machine and rolled toward the soft, damp-soiled section of the southern pasture. The machine's huge wheels made deep impressions in the dark soil. That afternoon, Jared worked out the lyrics to his mother's song. That afternoon, Maggie, at Jared's mother's pleading, delivered the lethal dose of morphine that finally stopped her heart, relieving her of life and all the pain that cancer brought her at the end. Maggie sent the dog Shep out to fetch Jared, but he was so deep into the newest lyrics for his mother's funeral song that he didn't realize that Shep was calling him in, and it wasn't until Delia came out on the four-wheeler that Jared received the news. The John Deere's clackety diesel engine wound down like a bag of bolts clanging together. Delia, in tears and looking frightened, her head craning up in the sky, looking in the direction where Jared sat atop the John Deere. She instantly shaded her teary eyes and said, "Your mother passed away, Jared." Her words were lifted across the field in the light of the southerly breeze, and it seemed to Jared that the words slithered among the higher grasses and settled near the dead choke-cherry tree with the osprey's nest atop the highest dead branches. Delia looked on patiently as Jared processed what was just said. His eyebrows furrowed, and he looked pensively at the marsh in the distance, and he breathed deeply, taking in the salt air and even the smell of the nearly low tide in the great creek. She finally said, "I think that you're needed in the house. I'm so sorry, Jared. I know she loved you. She loved us all." Jared looked away from the creek as his eyes passed over his farm with the cattle swatting flies with their tails in the distance, with the house on the ridge and the barns in between. "Thank you for being here with us, Delia. With her. Us, I guess. I don't know what I'm saying," he said. "It's okay, Jared. You can say and feel anything right now. I'm here for you," Delia revealed. "Well, there's haying to do, and the shop's still open, so finish out the day, I guess. That's what my mother and my father, they would do. For that matter, they both do that. That's what they do, I guess. Maggie will take care of my mother, get her where she needs to go down to Mason's funeral parlor to be cremated. That's what she said she wanted. And no church celebration, just a dinner up on the hill with her sister and Dad's family in July. That's all, if I remember. I don't want to see her dead." "There's no point in seeing her dead," Jared said as his head shook almost violently. "Whatever you want," Delia said, almost pleading with Jared's as her eyes again welled up with tears, almost making up for his lack of tears. The pain inside of Delia came forth, and the first time in his life, Jared saw the true beauty in Delia's presence. Her sheer human qualities, her presence, her love of all of this farm stuff, and he saw her differently. He shook his head and looked away. Jared turned the key and the old diesel John Deere rattled back to life. He yelled above the noise, "Thank you. Tell Maggie to get her to Mason's as soon as possible. I'll be done about sunset. The haying can't wait with this stretch of dry weather coming up. If it gets wet, it'll rot, and we won't have any hay come winter." Delia nodded in agreement as Jared put the John Deere in gear and drove off. She mouthed the words, "I love you, Jared." Jared looked too late and only saw Delia walking away, and he looked for a long time and nearly veered from his hay row. Jared couldn't sleep in the empty house, and for the first time in his dog Shep's life, he was permitted in the house. Shep lay next to Jared beneath his bed, snoring. Jared looked at the ceiling, feeling as if the ghosts of all of his relatives were visiting all around him. Soon it'd be Thursday morning, and he'd have to do all the regular stuff he always has to do. but he wasn't sure if he could perform his regular duties. Milking the cows was essential, and water for the animals, but after that, he wanted to work on his song for Sandra and prepare for his meeting with Colton at noon. That's all he could think about, and in some ways he felt a certain guilt about thinking of Sandra, and he reasoned that it was because his mother just died, but it seemed to be more than that. Something was eating at him within as he made his bacon and his eggs and cut a piece of Delia's fresh whole wheat sourdough bread to sop up the egg yolks. He thought of Delia's tears, and he thought of her walking away from him in the fields. He thought of her as a woman for the first time in her adult life, and he kind of liked thinking of Delia. After his chores, he sat beneath the oak tree as the sheep grazed wearily in the distance. The Shep joined him, sitting at his side. His long white fur and long facial features looked majestic in the shade with a slight breeze pushing back the hairs in his ears. Jared took a bath that morning and removed the grime from his fingernails, sanded the calluses on his hands with 80 grit sandpaper, and trimmed the hair from his ears and nose, his eyebrows, too. He'd never trimmed his eyebrows before, and he was nervous that he'd look like a freak when he was done. He bought an embroidered black button-down shirt and put on his best blue jeans and cowboy boots. As noontime approached, after practicing for an hour, he called Delia and told her to take her lunch at 11:45 today rather than at 2 like she usually does. He said he'd take care of the shop. Delia thanked him and said, "What's up?" I just thought you'd like an hour, maybe an early lunch, and the hay's drying. Not much to do." Jared lied to her and caught himself lying, but he didn't say anything. "Okay, noon lunch. Real people hours," Delia joked. Jared walked back and hid behind a tree when Delia passed. He questioned himself as he did it, thinking it was childish. But he was not sure that Delia had ever seen him wearing anything but farm clothes during the midday, and she'd ask questions, and he wasn't sure about anything. He arrived at the farmstand stone building as Colton arrived on time and bounced out of his Suburban like a young kid and pulled his guitar through the open window. "You said you'd be here, and look at you. You're here," Jared said. "And look at you, all cleaned up and not smelling like cow shit. Not bad. You look like a country singer from Nashville," Colton expressed. "Well, great, because that's what I was going for. My voice is in that low range," Jared said. "I know, I heard you. You sound a lot like Johnny Cash without the nasty edge stuff he carried along with him," Colton elaborated. "Are you making music today, or are we selling meat? Where's the woman that sold me the filet mignons the other day?" Colton asked. "I gave her some time to catch lunch. I figured we'd be here practicing, I didn't want to," Jared stumbled unclearly. "You like her, too, don't you? It's not just this Sandra chick. It's her, too. Delilah, right?" Colton said. "Her name is Delia. No L. No second L, anyway," Jared corrected Colton. "That's not the question. Do you like her as well?" Colton asked. "Of course. I mean, what's not to like? But she's 10 years younger than me." "My wife was 26, man, and I was old when we got married. It's just a number after a while, and we don't even get along. I'm a selfish prick, and I'm on the road, and she doesn't handle it well," Colton said. "She's got the kid." "I'm focused on Sandra," Jared said. "Cool. I gotcha. The mind sees what the mind wants. I've been there," Colton said. It's after 12:30. Let's start knocking out some melodies. I've been working on some lyrics to go with that song for Sandra for the open mic, Jared said sheepishly. Whoa, cool. You're going to step on stage. Fate, man. It's fate, Colton said loudly. It's not fate, it's you. You encouraged me. And my mom, Jared said, his voice trailing off. Your mom? What are you, 10 years old? Colton said with a laugh. No, she died 2 days ago, Jared said abruptly. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry I said that. Sorry, man. Was she sick, or did she just die suddenly? Colton asked. She died of cancer, but it was the morphine that killed her. Maggie gave her what she asked for, and Maggie said it was beautiful, Jared said. Who's Maggie? Colton asked. Hospice. She's been here for like the last 3 months. They became best friends. It really was beautiful. I couldn't have taken care of her with the farm, the cows, and everything I'm doing, Jared reasoned. That's nice, I guess. I mean, it's like a really good friend that will off you when you ask them to. I never had a friend like that. I almost died a few times, but that was all self-inflicted. I'm clean now, Colton revealed. The two sat in front of the stone farm stand building, strumming and singing some of the Cosmic Clash's greatest hits. Don't Run From Me, Benny Get Your Crossbow, and Stupid's the Fool That Knows It All. Sandra's 1968 refurbished green Mustang, the car she drives during the summer months, rolled down the street, and Sandra parked her car on the grassy curb. She's classy. Nice old car, Colton observed. Sandra exited the car with the fabric cooler bag. The bag said, helping the world to see green. She was wearing a white blouse with a navy blue sweater over it, and a pleated linen skirt. Her hair swept back from the wind, and she tussled with it for a minute in the mirror, like shine. The mirror check change. Her hair swept back from the wind, and she tussled with it for a minute in the mirror-like shine of the front hood, before turning and moving towards the two men seated in front of the farm stand. As she walked toward Colton and Jared, Colton said, My God, Jared, she's a brunette goddess. You've got that right, Jared said nervously. Hello, is the store open? Where's Delia? Sandra asked as she approached. Jared remained quiet, not answering, so Colton Clash answered. Delilah's at lunch, he said. Her name is Delia, not Delilah. Who are you? She asked. Colton Clash, and this is Jared, one of my music friends, Colton said while Jared shook his head vigorously and continued to remain silent. No, I'm Jared Dentry. I own the farm. You've never seen me, but I've seen you come on Thursdays at 1 o'clock, Jared said. I know you, but where's Delia? Sandra asked this of Jared. I gave her lunchtime off so she could do something different, Jared said as Colton curiously walked behind Sandra and propped his guitar against a tree and navigated Sandra's shape as he circled. Jared noticed. Sandra turned around, angling herself and backing off to be able to see both men. She stumbled in the high grass as she backed away and caught herself. Whoa! Well, do you have any flank steak? Sandra asked. We sure do, Jared said enthusiastically. How do you know my name? Sandra asked. This is going well, Colton announced. Introductions all around then. I'm Colton Clash, and this is Jared Dentry, and your full name is? Colton expressed himself animatedly. Sandra Cololini. Are you the Colton Clash of the Cosmic Clash? Sandra asked. Yes, but I'm incognito when I'm in Catunquit, Colton answered. I love your songs. Did you write all those songs? Sandra asked. I can't believe this is you and I'm here. Wow. I wrote it all, even the love ballads, Colton said while emphasizing the word love. Why are you incognito? Sandra asked. Because he's on the run from the law, Jared piped in suddenly. Well, not exactly the law. Uh, I'm a, I'm a bit of a badass when I'm on the road. I can't believe this. In Little Catunquit, and wow. She points at Jared and asks, Can I get the meat in a separate bag so the blood don't run? And oh, with ice. I'm going to pound it out so the firm flank steak is good. That works best. And it's always better if it's on ice, she announced to Jared, who almost forgot that he was taking care of the store this afternoon. I hope you have cash for the meat. I don't really know how to run the bank machine, Jared revealed. I never carry cash, Sandra said as she looked over to Colton for confirmation, who was smiling like a Cheshire cat. No cash. Never have cash, Colton said. Isn't that ironic? You're our best customer. You come every week. So today is free, Jared said. I couldn't do that for free. No way. I just kind of formally met you. I can't, Sandra insisted. Jared oddly reached out and touched his toes and stretched back, arching to somehow relieve some farmer pain he was feeling. What about if you meet me for coffee sometime? You mean on a date with you? Sandra asked as Colton choked down a laugh that created spit from the sides of his mouth, and he retreated outside. Jared handed the bag of meat and the bag of ice to Sandra and said, Please, just take the meat. Sandra took the bag and placed her long right leg leading to her foot over her left foot and bent down slowly, saying, It's a better stretch if you do it this way. Jared tried and stretched, and he said, It is better, thanks. You know, Jared, I've seen you working out in the field, on the farm before. I watched you one day taking care of a sick calf, maybe just born, under an apple tree. You really do have a gift, Sandra said. Been around it all my life, Jared said. Meet me Sunday at 9 a.m. in town near the fire station in front of St. Mary's Church. Maybe we'll get that coffee together, Sandra offered. Great. That's fine. Beautiful, Jared said eagerly. Colton re-entered the farm stand store and slammed the door as he arrived and said, It's nice and cool in here. You coming to my show in Charlestown? Colton asked Sandra. No, I wasn't aware. I didn't buy tickets. I'm sure it's sold out, Sandra said. He was supposed to ask you to the show on Saturday night at the campground in Charlestown, Colton said while pointing at Jared. He asked me for coffee on Sunday, Sandra said dejectedly. I didn't know if you wanted to go. I mean, you just met me, Jared said. But it's the cosmic clash, Sandra said while pointing at Colton Clash. Colton popped up. Backstage passes, full access to the band, and me, Colton revealed. Do you want to go with me? Jared asked. I kind of prefer a group date, but you sing nicely. I wouldn't want to disappoint Colton, Sandra said with a smile directed at Colton. Show starts at 8, Colton interjected. Okay, Saturday at 6:15. I'll pick you up, she said while pointing at the green Mustang convertible. All right, then, Cool. Cool. 6:15, Jared said as he made a move toward her to guide her out the door, which she misinterpreted and put up her hand. I'm not hugging you, at least, yet, she said, and she opened the door. But as she passed Colton at the door, she touched his hip to slip by, and Colton smiled. The old Mustang started with a little cloud of smoke and revved to life. The two men stood and watched her ride away. That is one cool-ass bitch you got there, Jared, Colton said. She's not a bitch, Jared said indignantly. It's an expression of admiration. Cool your jets, J.D., Colton said as he picked up his guitar and strummed hard across all strings. She likes you, Colton said. She clearly likes you, Jared said. She's beautiful and she's smart, and those long legs and the schoolgirl thing she's got it going. That's some hot shit, Colton said. It's not intentional, I'm sure. Delia said Sandra goes to church a lot, even on weekdays. That just only makes her hotter, don't you see? Catholic schoolgirl turned woman. Man, that's some hot shit, Colton said while brushing his hair back and raking his forehead to remove the grease above his eyebrows. I gotta go, man. I'll see you backstage with Sandra Saturday night, Colton said as he packed up his guitar in its case and shuffled off the farm to his big Suburban while passing Delia, who was arriving late after an extra hour-long lunch. Delia hurried down the rocky path and said, Oh, hi. Sorry, I'm late. There was a long line at Niche of Nirvana. Come on inside. You have to teach me to use the bank machine. That's easy, Delia said. Well, not for me, Jared revealed. Part 3. Saturday was the first full day off that Jared had taken since his Uncle Grant died 4 years ago. He walked on the beaches looking for fishing lures, and he searched for blue sea glass with the tide pushed up against the shore, and he made lunch on a fire on the beach, including wild onions and clams cooked on a hot rock that he heated with hot coals from a fire he built among the rocks. He felt as if he was 10 years old again. He returned home to the farm at 2 p.m., cleaned himself in the outside shower, and dressed for the evening's event around 3 p.m. He had so long to wait for Sandra's arrival. He couldn't even eat, he was so nervous. He drank a pint of unpasteurized whole milk and smiled as he drank it. He played solitaire in the front parlor area until 5, but he still had an hour and 15 to kill. He wondered what Colton was thinking of right now, with just a few hours until showtime, and the prospect of 8,000 screaming fans wanting more. What a life, he thought, as he saw Delia's car pass down the street, turn around after his house, and start back again. He wondered what Delia was doing tonight, and how she would have loved to go to the concert, although Jared had listened to her music playing in the shop in the past, and it wasn't any good. Jared thought that there wasn't any memories in that music that she listened to. But he is sure every generation before the last says that about the younger generation. He watched as Delia's car passed onto the main road and started towards Great Creek and headed into town. He noticed the green Mustang convertible passing in the opposite direction. The two cars passed one another near the creek. Jared wondered if Delia saw Sandra, and if she suspected that Jared and Sandra were going on a date. He made his way to the front of the porch and coolly swung his leg atop the railing, looking casual. He picked up his guitar and placed it across his lap. He wanted her to see him out on the front porch, looking like a country singer just picking chords. Sandra rolled up and beeped, startling Jared as he threw his guitar in the case, shoved it in the front door, and abandoned anything that even remotely approached cool and casual as he fumbled to lock the front door. He opened the creaky car door and got into the front seat. "I don't want to be late. Come on, Pokey," Sandra said as Jared fixed his collar and straightened out his new blue jeans. "You look beautiful," Jared complimented her. "Well, you look great. This is going to be fun. I've never been backstage, full access backstage, whatever that is. Can you imagine what that means? We're going to meet the band before the Cosmic Clash concert goes on stage. We're going to meet the Smithsons and the band after. Suppose that band's called, I think it's Atomic Burn. They're wicked hot," Sandra said. "How do you know all that?" Jared asked. "It's on the venue's website. Ask your phone for the band schedule for Charlestown Rockin' Roots Festival, and it's all there," Sandra said as she accelerated onto the on-ramp to the highway, taking them over the bridge. The Mustang's front end shimmied slightly at 70 miles per hour, but stopped at 65, and Sandra backed off to 60. "You need a front-end alignment, or maybe it's just one of your tires out of balance," Jared shouted in the wind with the top down on the convertible. "I know. I just took the car out of storage. I only drive it during the summer," Sandra shouted back. It was hard to talk above the noise, the wind and the engine and the cars rushing by. Jared didn't strike up any more conversation. He peeked at her through his peripheral vision. She had an air of confidence and poise, with her hair tied back in a kerchief like Jackie Onassis. Jared wondered if Jackie Onassis Kennedy had ever driven a green Ford Mustang back in 1966, just 3 years after the assassination, and then he wondered why he had that absurd vision. The VIP entrance GPS coordinates avoided the traffic on Route 1, so the two were in the parking lot in what seemed like minutes. Jared flashed his VIP backstage badges, and the car was whisked to where the trailers and the band buses were parked. "Pretty cool, huh?" "It's nice to know the king," Jared said. "Do you really know him?" Sandra asked. "Not much, really," Jared said, and then hesitated and said, "I don't care about Colton Clash. I'm here to get to know Sandra Cololini better." "Oh, that's so sweet." I'm here to experience it all," Sandra said. By the time that Jared opened his door and collected the VIP badges for Sandra and him, Sandra had already walked 30 feet ahead. Jared caught up to her and asked, What's the big rush?" "Do you want to see him?" Sandra asked. "I guess, but they're just people backstage, maybe drinking and doing drugs. I don't know what appeals to you about that," Jared rationalized. "You've been on that farm too long. When is your mother going to set you free?" Sandra asked, unaware of his mother's recent death. "I'm free now. She's dead. She died this week," Jared said as Sandra entered the backstage VIP area and then turned back toward Jared quizzically. What did you say?" "She's dead. You heard me," Jared said. "What are you doing here, man?" "What are you doing here?" Sandra asked. "I'm here for you. I know you wanted to go, so we're here," Jared explained. "But I mean, shouldn't you be looking at coffins or something, or greeting relatives?" she asked. No. Mother was very clear. Bury her ashes on the knoll beneath the tree with all the other dead trees at a specific time of year, just before the first frost. Guitar and trumpet warm-up noise infiltrated the VIP entrance area. Are you sure you want to go in?" I could take you home," Sandra said. "No, we're here. Let's have a beer, wine, whatever they have for us. Some food, too, and enjoy the night," Jared said. "Okay, I won't run ahead anymore. I'll stay with you," Sandra said. "I'd appreciate that very much," Jared expressed. When the two VIPs entered the backstage area, Colton was in a corner on a fancy maroon carpet, meditating in a space filled with chaos. His eyes were closed, and 40 or more people were moving all around him as if he weren't there. Sandra stood near him in front and stared at Colton, watching his eyes move within their sockets beneath his closed eyelids. When he left his meditative trance and opened his eyes, Sandra was the first person he saw, even though Jared was standing next to her on her immediate right side. Jared noticed Colton's intense stare and her eyes locking on his, and for a long, awkward few moments for Jared, there wasn't anything said. And then, "You're here. You showed up," Colton said as he lifted himself from the mat without help from his arms. "We're here," Jared corrected him. "Cool. So cool. Have some drinks, some food, and I'll be by just before we go on. I'll introduce you to the band," Colton said, while reaching out and pulling Sandra in close to him. Sandra's eyes closed as her head hit his chest. "Let's get some food," Jared insisted, and he pulled Sandra from Colton Clash and led her to the buffet table. What was that all about?" Jared asked. "He's friendly, I guess. He's your friend, or sort of friend. You should know," Sandra stated. "I don't know him, and I don't know these people, and apparently, I don't know you. I wanted to go for coffee, that's it, talk, and then go on a date. This is all backwards," Jared said. "Well, you're kind of right about that," Sandra agreed. "Let's back up. We get some free food and drinks, then get a seat with the real people over there in the audience," Jared pleaded. "But what does Colton want us to do?" she asked. "I don't give a shit what Colton thinks," Jared said. "Okay. We'll do it your way," Sandra said. The two VIPs hit the buffet line and then tripled up on the drinks. Sandra ordered 3 small bottles of champagne, and Jared carried 3 Heinekens securely set in their original box. An usher escorted them to their seats centrally in the first row. At a distance from the VIP section, the general public sat behind them, and they were seated on blankets, and some had picnic baskets filled with food. They ate and drank in silence as the tech crew set up the stage for the Cosmic Clash concert. Jared broke the ice, asking, Are we good?" "We're nothing. We're not we. We're just blah at this point," Sandra expressed. Well, I don't know what I'm doing here then," Jared said. "Let's just watch a concert," Sandra pleaded. "I'm done tonight. I'm leaving. I got home on my own. I'll figure out how to get an Uber or something with this phone. I'm done," Jared said after dropping his plate of pulled pork and beans and 2 enchiladas on the ground. "I'm not leaving. That's ridiculous," Sandra said. "If you're leaving for real, just go. And I'll see you in front of St. Mary's for coffee tomorrow. Like you said before. Like you said you wished we'd done," Sandra said oddly. "Tomorrow? Sunday? You want to see me tomorrow? Whatever. You're a little messed up," Jared said as he walked away, looking back at her, half expecting her to follow him. Jared mumbled to himself, "Tomorrow, today, backstage, Colton, St. Mary's Church. I mean, what the fuck?" He looked back as he passed by the parked green convertible Mustang to see Sandra in his empty seat at a point center stage, right in front. And then he was in time to see Sandra ducking back into the backstage area. Jared reflected on every facet of his first date with Sandra Colalini while hitchhiking his way back to Catunquit. As he walked the half-mile stretch back to the farm from the highway, he heard the gentle rustling of the wind in the yet-to-be-cut hayfield, and the almost owl-like call of the mother cows settling their calves in the fields. Jared knew where he belonged. Well, at least that night. The next morning, Jared awakened at dawn, did his weekend Sunday chores, and showered at 8 and then drove to town. He waited in front of St. Mary's Church after 9 as folks attending the 9:30 Mass arrived from all angles and entered the church like busy, obedient ants until the sidewalks emptied. A police car arrived, and a tall, distinguished-looking man and his pretty wife approached Jared with the policeman. The cop asked, "Are you Jared Dentry?" "Of course I am, Ben. Ben Coleman. I've known you since second grade when your parents moved into town." "It's ridiculous," Jared said. "May we ask you some questions?" Officer Coleman asked. Of course. What happened?" Jared asked. "This is Mr. and Mrs. Colalini, and you apparently had a date to attend a concert last night in Charlestown with Sandra Colalini?" "Yes, we went. I left early. It wasn't my type of thing," Jared responded. "Sandra didn't come home last night," Officer Coleman revealed. "Do you know where she is?" Mrs. Colalini asked with her tears in her eyes. She's never stayed out all night. She's a good church-going Catholic girl. She's never..." She expressed these words with tears streaming down her face. Mr. Colalini nodded his head and held his wife close to him as she spoke. "Why did you leave my daughter there?" Mr. Colalini asked. "Sandra was way too into the VIP thing and being backstage and kind of into the lead singer of the Cosmic Clash, Colton Clash. I mean, she drove us there. I didn't really leave her there hanging. She seemed to be able to figure stuff out on her own," Jared revealed. "Did you two quarrel?" Officer Coleman asked. "Quarrel, Ben? Stop with the cop talk. It's me, Jared Dentry from the farm. No, we didn't quarrel. We didn't fight. We didn't even know one another. It was our first date." "Why are you here in town in front of the church this morning and not up at the farm?" Officer Coleman asked. I can answer that. Because he was going to meet Sandra at church, and they were going to church together and then out to coffee, Mrs. Colalini said. I thought she just blew off the morning coffee after I left last night. I knew this morning would be a long shot." "Church? We were going to church?" Jared asked Mr. Colalini. "Sandra said she was meeting you to attend Mass at St. Mary's," he insisted. "Mr. and Mrs. Colalini, we don't even consider your daughter missing until after 24 hours. She hasn't been missing for long," Officer Coleman said. "But I call her, and I call her, and I call her, and there's no response," Mrs. Colalini pleaded. "Do you have a tracking device on her phone?" Coleman asked. "I don't even know how to work this thing. I just take calls and send pictures," Mrs. Colalini said, while handing over the phone to Officer Coleman, who walked back to his police car, where he used the radio. It took 5 minutes of standing around until he returned. "She's in Frytown, Maine. Do you have family in Frytown, Maine?" "Her Mustang isn't in the Charlestown Festival parking area, so presumably she took her green Mustang convertible license plate Cat QT14 to Frytown, Maine." Jared asked his phone, "Hey Google, Where's the next concert for the Cosmic Clash taking place? The Cosmic Clash's next concert is Fryetown, Maine, Google revealed for all to hear. It's apparent that your daughter has run off with the band, or is following the band, the Cosmic Clash, Officer Coleman stated. She's with Colton Clash from the band, I guarantee it. I don't know much, and I'm not experienced in any of this. Just a farmer. But one thing's for sure. She's with Colton Clash, Jared said. I'll call that in to the Fryetown Police Headquarters, Coleman said as he went back to his car. After 10 minutes of waiting, Officer Ben Coleman of the Catunquit Police Department, part-time weekend officer, had solved the case. We have confirmation that she is with the band in Fryetown, Maine, and has indicated that she will not be returning, and she said that she'll call in a week after things settle down, Officer Coleman stated. She's a grown woman. She can do what she wants, Mr. and Mrs. Cololini, he clarified. Church let out and the doors swung open as Father Viella greeted curious churchgoers distracted by the flashing lights and police cars as they left church. Ben, am I free to go? Jared asked. You're good, good to go, Officer Coleman said. Jared made his way to Nietzsche Nirvana and opened the front door. The owner asked, What's all that about with the police and the lights? Nothing. It was all a big mistake, Jared said. Jared noticed Delia sitting in the corner looking at her cell phone. When she looked up, he motioned for her to save him a seat. Delia smiled and put away her phone. When he approached with his hot coffee, she coolly kicked out the seat in front of her for him to sit on. Jared smiled back at her sparkling eyes, and then wondered if the cattle were okay, and if he had locked the farm stand building before he left. The end. So that's the story of, what do we call this one? Clash at Swing Fence Farm. So there was a clash of sorts at Swing Fence Farm, and we hope you enjoyed this week's different episode of Catunquit Chronicles with James Allen solo. So have a good week, and we'll see you next week. Well, we're not going to see you, but you'll hear from us. Next time we record, we'll be recording from the Newport, and has a new soccer team, semi-professional soccer team, led by a local Jamestown player, a player from Jamestown, next town over, by the name of Connor Froberg. So Connor is leading that team. He's the captain of the team. And I'm looking forward to going to the match. And we'll be recording at the match. So we'll see you next time.